If the money lasts forever, you have hope. What is money? Perfect money is a way to escape the misery of the economic war that is depriving you, your family, and your company of 99.9% of everything you have with absolute certainty. And there is no amount of work, and there is no amount of trading, no amount of thinking that is going to escape this reality. You're going to have to find this solution. What's the winning strategy? There's only one winning strategy that I see. It's hold the best money. And if you hold the dollar, which is the best currency, you're going to zero. If you hold a weaker currency, you're going to zero in a few years. Gold is a sort of better money than the currency. Stocks are a better money than gold. Bitcoin is a better money than the stocks. But let's talk about this a bit. The conventional organization, company, investor, they think the S&P index, they think corporate equity is the best money. They have monetized it, and that's what they're using. And so I wanted to break down what corporate equity looks like versus Bitcoin. You know, the traditional return of the S&P index is about 7% a year. Well, Bitcoin should, in theory, return 14% a year. It's returned a lot more. It's returning 40, 50% a year over the past 3 years and much higher over a longer period. But I want to lay out the reason that companies don't work as well as perfect money or digital money. First of all, you've got the dilution that comes from management. The management's going to pay themselves 1% of your return every year. You've got the risk of labor. Companies unionize, they have to pay labor. The cost of labor keeps going up. It's another 1%. You've got competition. There's going to be someone that's going to produce more gold or more iPhones or more something, more computers. It's going to cost you another 1%. You've got technology. You had a really good camera business, and then the camera becomes software. It's going to cost you 1%. You've got regulation. The EU is going to actually fine Facebook or Google for doing something on the web. It's going to cost you 1%. You've got taxation. If I can locate your employees, locate your management, locate your company, locate your headquarters, it's going to cost you 1%. And then you've got war. And the war may be a hot war where you've got a tanker and I blow it up, or it may be an economic war like a tariff, and I'm just going to put a 25% tariff on you. Companies have all those risks. If you ask what's the cost of it, about 7% a year. What you can expect is over time, over 100 years, you're always going to pay the 7%. Now, what's the implication of getting a 7% yield versus a 14% yield? Because Bitcoin actually avoids that. How does Bitcoin avoid it? The Bitcoin virtues are we replace management with cybernetic control. The software controls the system, not people. The software does the work for free. I replace labor with a digital system. I replace competition with an immaculate conception. There's only one Bitcoin. Satoshi gave it as a gift to the world. There's no competitor. There's no second best. Why? Because someone created this, gave it away to the rest of us without any beneficial interest in it. That's what makes it unique, irreplaceable, special. That instead of technology risk, like the iPhone 15, Bitcoin is just money, 1/21 millionth of everything there's ever going to be. It's not going to actually obsolete. It's immortal product. In 1,000 years, you're going to want to own 1/21 millionth of everything there is. In 100,000 years, you're going to want to own 1/21 millionth of everything there is. That's how you escape the competitive downdraft, and that's how you avoid the technology destruction. And of course, with regulation, taxation, and war, by being a digital asset, you're living in cyberspace. You can't destroy it. It's indestructible, it's incorruptible, it's global. Bitcoin's going to duck the exposures of these other systems. So what's the implication of that? If you had $1 million today in your company or in your family, and you hold it in cash in the world reserve currency at a 7% inflation rate, in 100 years, you will have, in today's dollars, $977. You will go from 1,000,000 to 1,000. You'll lose 1,000x. It's 1 divided by 2 to the 10th. If you take all your $1 million and buy government bonds yielding 3.5% interest, you're going to have a 3.5% negative real yield. Carry that for 100 years, you're going to have $31,000. 3% of your wealth. If you're brilliant and you invest in the S&P, you're going to have $1 million. You'll have the same value, the same wealth in 100 years you have right now, but no more. If you take half of it and invest it in Bitcoin and the other half in the S&P, you're going to have $512 million. And if you go 100% Bitcoin, you're going to be a billionaire. All you got to do is flip your $1 million into Bitcoin, hold it at 7% real yield 100 years, and that's the money you have times 2 to the 10th. And so you can see in a very simple way, there's a winning strategy, there's a losing strategy. Every other strategy is, the trading, the investing, is just a waste of time. You could ask, what about the real world? Here's real world. In the last 2.5 years since MicroStrategy entered Bitcoin, Bitcoin has outperformed the S&P, the NASDAQ, gold, silver, and bonds. Bonds are destroying wealth. Silver is destroying wealth. Gold is destroying wealth. Bitcoin's crushing everybody. And you can say, well, what about MicroStrategy? All the guys on Twitter, they're all like Twitter trolls. Hey, you lost some money investing in Bitcoin. That's the MicroStrategy performance. That is your company on a Bitcoin standard. That is your family on a Bitcoin standard. See, you keep dollar cost averaging or Bitcoin cost averaging. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what price you buy. What matters is you keep buying and you don't sell and you don't invest in the bonds, the silver, the gold, and the rest.